Yeah, the stock market. Stock market has lost $5 trillion in 3 weeks. Yes, Trump, he's the Ozempic of the economy. Wow. 5 trillion. Today, Greenland offered to buy us.
Handing Donald Trump the economy is like giving a toddler a chainsaw. Except, honestly, the toddler might show more restraint. Bill Maher isn't mincing words in his latest takedown, shredding Trump's so-called financial genius and exposing how the economy took a nosedive the moment he grabbed the wheel. From reckless tax breaks for billionaires to policies that made Wall Street cheer while Main Street suffered, Maher lays out the cold, hard facts.
One thing we've known about Trump for quite a while is that in the world, the countries that we traditionally liked, like England and France, those kind of places, he doesn't really like. And the people that we traditionally didn't like Saudi Arabia and Russia, he likes. For example, there's I'm sticking with the Union, the former Soviet Union. Unlike some people, he always says thank you. Europe, your ancestors left for a reason. Trump says, I like reading as little as possible. I don't need, 200-page reports on something that can be handled on a page. He's actually proud that he makes decisions without learning anything, which makes him the perfect president for a nation perpetually looking at its phone.
And they're as brutal as Trump's old casinos. Did Trump really think running businesses into the ground was just a warm-up for tanking the U.S. economy? Strap in, because Maher's punchlines land harder than a market crash. And he doesn't stop there. One thing we've all noticed.
Look at what other Republicans have changed.
Oh.
You said in your special, Trump got the White House again, but he's not going to get your mind.
Yeah.
How's that resolution holding up?
Not that well. I gotta say it lasted. Yeah. I also said I wouldn't pre-hate anything, which is true. I didn't pre-hate, but boy, does the hate come around quickly. Mm-hmm. I mean, has it been only a month? Yeah.
It's been 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
I mean, I made a list. Like, here's what I already hate. Here's things I don't hate yet. There are things that, like the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of this hellhole that it's been. Other people have suggested that by way of us taking it over. No. Starting a new American empire. No, this insanity of Zelensky as the dictator and
outrageous
this opposite day kind of shit with the Western alliance.
Trump has a habit of alienating America's longtime allies, countries like Germany and Canada, while cozying up to authoritarian regimes. Take Russia, for example. He never forgets to compliment Putin. But Europe? He loves to remind people their ancestors left for a reason. If there's one thing Trump enjoys more than slapping his name on overpriced hotels and shady online courses, it's pretending he knows anything about economics. But according to Maher, the only numbers Trump truly understands are the ones on his golf scorecard. And even those seem questionable. Because the second he got his ketchup-covered hands on the economy, it didn't just stumble. It plummeted like one of his failed ventures. And let's talk about how today's Republican Party has evolved. Trump may have clawed his way back into the White House, but he won't be winning any logic contests. How's that fresh start to the year treating him? Not great. Maher admits he wanted to give 2025 a chance, but the nonsense showed up fast. From bizarre claims about Zelensky suddenly being a dictator to absurd ideas about transforming Gaza into a beach resort, the circus never stops. Maher doesn't hold back when dismantling Trump's economic strategy. Remember when slashing taxes for the ultra-rich was supposed to help the middle class? Yeah, all that really did was finance another space race for tech billionaires, while everyday Americans struggled to afford groceries. Because let's be honest, when a guy who's filed for bankruptcy multiple times promises to fix the economy, maybe don't buy what he's selling. That's like hiring a fox to watch your chicken coop.
Watch out for Canada, the quiet, polite neighbor you never suspect. I want you to cut dictators some slack. What he's trying to tell us by continuing to do this dance. And And now, making YMCA his anthem. Yes, it turns out that the stock market has really kind of rejected the notion that if we turn on our trading partners, chickens would lay more eggs. Yeah, I mean, when Biden was president, it was everything about the eggs, the price of eggs. We got to lower the price of eggs. And now Trump retweeted somebody last week who said, shut up about the eggs.
Even Trump himself admitted, I like reading as little as possible. Maybe that's why his economic policies felt like they were written on the back of a napkin. Probably one he swiped from Mar-a-Lago. Trump prides himself on making decisions without actually learning anything. Because why waste time with facts when you can just wing it? It makes him the perfect leader for a country addicted to doom scrolling. Of course, he swore up and down that the economy was thriving under his watch. And sure, if you were a hedge fund executive, a Fortune 500 CEO, or the guy selling bootleg MAGA hats outside his rallies, maybe things looked fantastic. Meanwhile, the average American was watching wages flatline, healthcare costs surge, and rent climb faster than Trump's legal fees. But according to him, everything was historic, incredible, the greatest economy ever. Just like how he claims to be the healthiest president of all time. Right before double-fisting a bucket of KFC like a raccoon that found a jackpot, Bill Maher pulled no punches, tearing apart the absurdity of Trump's so-called business expertise and reminding everyone that he ran the country the same way he ran his casinos, straight into the ground. And let's be honest, losing money on a casino takes real talent. That's like failing a breathalyzer at an oxygen bar. Yet somehow he brought that same business acumen to the US economy, leading to skyrocketing debt, higher costs of living, and enough financial chaos to give stockbrokers stress ulcers. And then there were those famous tax cuts. Trump swore they'd be a game changer for the middle class. Spoiler, they weren't, because in Trump's world, middle class apparently means anyone with a private island. He handed out billionaire tax breaks like they were free drink vouchers at a failing casino, while everyday Americans got just enough relief to splurge on an extra case of ramen noodles.
And Americans are like, but we need eggs. What else are we going to throw at the Teslas? But you know what? $5 trillion in 3 weeks, and we have only ourselves to blame. Trump said this would happen if we re-elected Biden. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. No, this is happening because Trump wants to bring back manufacturing, and to get the ball rolling, he is manufacturing a recession. What is he trying to tell us? And I'm not saying Donald Trump is secretly gay. It doesn't look like much of a secret. No, I'm kidding. No. I don't think he is gay. Quite the contrary. I think the message to his manosphere is that he's so masculine that he can literally jerk off 2 guys at once while dancing to the Village People and still be considered a masculine icon. I mean...
But don't worry. Trump promised all that wealth would trickle down eventually. You know, just like Trump University was totally going to provide a quality education. In reality, corporations used their tax windfalls for stock buybacks instead of raising wages. And let's not forget, those cuts weren't even permanent for the middle class. By 2027, everyday Americans will be paying more, while the ultra-rich continue their tax-free joyride. Classic Trump. Sell the fantasy, pocket the profits, and leave someone else to clean up the wreckage. And Maher? He's not letting him off the hook. Maher had a field day calling out Trump's obsession with the stock market. In Trump's mind, if the Dow Jones was up, the economy was flawless. But here's the issue. The stock market isn't the economy. That's like saying your Instagram likes determine your physical fitness. Just because the wealthy were cashing in didn't mean the average American was thriving. In reality, wages were stagnant, healthcare was in shambles, and homeownership was...
He plays Let's Spin the Big Tariff Wheel. Woo! Round and around she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. And every day, Trump puts these amazingly large tariffs on other countries, and when the countries respond with their tariffs, he acts shocked at their disrespect. How dare you do to me what I just did to you? You were like taking people to task, as I think you should, for who would boycott Donald Trump, and you said, but if he wanted to come on your show, you would have him on.
Of course.
Because you said it's important to talk to important people.
Yes.
But I would add this.
Yeah.
If you are going to have him on, he's a politician.
Yeah.
I know he's actually a game show host from Queens. But now he's the President of the United States. So if you're going to have him on, this is everybody, hold his feet to the fire.
You mean literally?
Oh, if you could. Would that
Slipping out of reach faster than Trump dodging a subpoena. But when the market crashed, suddenly it was radio silence. Just a flood of frantic tweets blaming anyone and everyone but himself. Because if there's one thing Trump does better than anything else, it's dodging responsibility for his own disasters. And then there was the trade war. Oh, what a spectacle. Watching Trump navigate international trade negotiations was like watching someone argue over the price of fake designer bags in an alleyway. Maher didn't hesitate to remind everyone that Trump's brilliant strategy involved slapping tariffs on anything that crossed the border, without a clue how tariffs actually work. Because here's the kicker. When you tax imports, American consumers and businesses foot the bill. It's like torching your own house and calling it an energy-saving innovation. But Trump spun it as a win, and his base cheered. Meanwhile, farmers lost their livelihoods, businesses buckled, and anyone who dared explain basic economics to him got that signature vacant stare, like a goldfish trying to solve algebra. Of course, no Trump economic discussion would be complete without his favorite subject, himself. According to him, no one had ever handled the economy better. Not Obama, not FDR, not even Alexander Hamilton, who literally built the US financial system. Just Trump. The same guy who somehow managed to lose money selling vodka. The same guy who bankrupted an airline. The same guy who couldn't even make a profit running a casino. A business designed so the house always wins. But sure, he's the greatest economic mastermind of all time. Meanwhile, everyday Americans were just trying to afford groceries. Because at this rate, eggs were only useful for throwing at overpriced sports cars. And yet, Trump still clings to the fantasy that he's a self-made billionaire. Never mind the millions he inherited, the endless bailouts, or the fact that his greatest financial skill seems to be failing upwards while convincing people he's winning. He talks about business the same way he talks about his weight, completely disconnected from reality. And Maher? He's had it. Because no matter how many times Trump brags about his so-called economic miracle, the cold, hard numbers tell a very different story. At the end of the day, Trump's economic expertise was nothing more than a flashy illusion propped up by debt, loopholes, and a mountain of unpaid bills. His presidency played out like one of his many failed business ventures. Make wild promises, ignore every warning sign, and when disaster inevitably strikes, blame everyone else and walk away. Only this time, instead of defrauded university students or bankrupt casinos, the victims were working-class Americans. And now, we're left with soaring debt, a battered middle class, and an economic mess so big that late-night comedians have enough material for the next decade. The guy who swore he'd make America rich again left office with record deficits, a gutted working class, and a tax cut that funneled billions to the ultra-wealthy while everyone else struggled with rising prices. Maher put it best. Trump treated the economy like a toy, something to break, discard, and move on from once the damage was done. And those tariffs? Oh, Trump loved playing his favorite game. Let's randomly slap tariffs on foreign countries and act surprised when they retaliate. He'd jack up tariffs, they'd hit back, and then he'd act shocked. How dare they do exactly what he just did to them? It's like setting a fire and then demanding to be the fire chief. Yet, somehow, he still insists he's the only one who can fix the very mess he created. It's the ultimate con. Break it. Convince people only you can repair it. And when everything crumbles again, rewrite history and blame someone else. And his supporters? They buy it every time. Convinced that the man who handed billionaires massive tax breaks while their wages stayed flat is somehow their economic savior. It's a masterclass in political gaslighting. The economy is in turmoil. And Trump's solution? The same reckless policies that led to the disaster in the first place. But who needs facts when you have an endless supply of slogans and scapegoats? Now, as he struts across the rally stage like some kind of economic messiah, taking credit for every success while conveniently ignoring the financial disasters tied directly to his decisions, Maher and the rest of us are left shaking our heads, wondering just how long the con can last. Trump is back on the campaign trail, promising yet another golden age of prosperity, conveniently forgetting that his first round came with record deficits, corporate tax giveaways, and a trade war that hurt more than it helped. He brags about a so-called booming economy, but conveniently skips over the part where his reckless policies set the stage for financial chaos. And his supporters? They eat it up, clinging to the fantasy rather than facing the facts. It's a well-polished act, a political magic show where failures disappear into thin air and imaginary victories take their place. Enter Bill Maher, armed with razor-sharp wit, brutal honesty, and zero patience for nonsense. He's made a career out of exposing hypocrisy, and Trump's economic fairy tales are like an all-you-can-eat buffet of absurdity. Maher dismantles the illusion, cutting through the spin to reveal the ugly truth. A ballooning national debt, tax cuts that overwhelmingly benefited the ultra-rich, and trade policies that wrecked American farms and businesses instead of helping them. But Trump's strategy has never been about the truth. It's about the spectacle. He's a master at spinning failures into triumphs, rewriting history in real time while his supporters nod along. It's all part of the show. And Maher? He's got front row seats, popcorn in hand, ready to call out every ridiculous boast, every absurd claim, and every outright lie. But this isn't just about Trump. It's about the lingering effects of his policies and the way they've reshaped political discourse. His economic narrative, no matter how fictional, has become gospel for his base, creating a distorted version of history that benefits him while ignoring reality. Maher refuses to let that slide. Week after week, he takes a sledgehammer to Trump's economic mythology, offering a much-needed dose of truth in a political landscape drowning in misinformation. If there's one thing Trump excels at, it's providing comedians with an endless supply of material. And if there's one thing Maher does best, it's making sure no one forgets just how ridiculous the great Trump economy experiment really was. With razor-sharp monologues and merciless punchlines, he shines a light on the madness, ensuring history doesn't get rewritten without a few reality checks. And with another election looming, the stakes couldn't be higher. The big question now: will America fall for the same con twice?